Hello people of the internet. If you're wondering why I haven't uploaded in ages, it's because these icons are taking a long time to make. So yeah, if you do enjoy, please hit the subscribe button, because 50% of you aren't actually subscribed who watch my videos, so please change that. Anyway, let's get on into the video. So on Daniel Craft's last video, I commented if it would be plagiarism to copy his idea and redesign all of the Adobe icons on my desktop. He said it would be fine, so here I am. So the Adobe app I use most, I only have 3 on my desktop, and that's Illustrator, Premiere and Photoshop. And Photoshop's the one I use most, so I started with that. So I added a cube and added a reference image. I found this reference image online of 30 Adobe apps, and that would do just fine. So I imported that in as a plane, scaled it up, and positioned it by the cube. I put the cube in wireframe mode just so it would be a bit easier to see. Then I tried to model it around, and the best thing I found in the end was just to put it in the same position as the Photoshop logo, scale it down and add a bevel modifier just to give it that nice curved look. I added a few more segments to that to make it a bit more high resolution, and just kind of scaled it in until it fit the outside. I tried to give it a less thickness so it just matched up with the other icon. I just kind of copied the Photoshop text and then lined it up so it would fit well. I started out doing both letters in caps, but then I changed this later. I extruded it quite a lot just to give it a lot of thickness. I created a new material, and the first thing I thought of was just to do a basic emission shader, which worked okay, but it didn't really fit the style. I added in some bloom in Eevee just to make it look a bit better, but still, it just didn't look right. I tried adding a second text as a background text, but that didn't really work because I added in a wireframe modifier and that kind of messed everything up. So I just duplicated the text, removed some extrusion and added some offset so it acted as a border. Still wanted it to be really simple, so I kept on experimenting with the emission and the basic black shader for the box, but that just didn't work. So for the background text I just made a black principled BSDF because I think that's just the best way to go. I don't really know why I was doing stuff with this for so long, but the background text really does show the thickness of it. So finally I switched into cycles, and this just looked disgusting. There was so much noise and it was just a regular emission shader. I messed around with some settings, and this was my first render. It really didn't look very good, so then I just experimented with other things. The first thing I did was add in this weird noise texture, which actually looked quite nice with the pink, purple and blue and green. But then I rendered it out and it didn't really fit on my desktop because you couldn't really see any of the colours. So then I scrapped that and started from scratch. I deleted the footage of me making this accidentally, but here's just a rundown of what it is. The text is just a mix shader with emission and principled BSDF as the shaders, and the factor being a Voronoi Musgrave texture. For the glass background, I just did a basic principled BSDF with the transmission turned up and the transmission roughness turned to something like 0.2. I added in a bump node and set it to something quite low so that it didn't mess everything up. Still I had the bevel though, so all the subdivisions made it look a bit weird on the edges, but I was fine with this because it would be scaled down to something so an icon. So I just kept that. Added in some lights, changed them to blue, and this was my final render. So for the Premiere one, I started off experimenting just by changing the text on the Photoshop logo. Obviously this was quite a simple solution, but I didn't really like it. So I kept the text like that. And the first thing I did was, because on my desktop for some reason, it's not a very beveled shape, the Premiere logo, so I removed the bevel modifier and saw how that looked. I kind of liked the outline of the light reflecting off the glass, and that was really nice. So try to make everything quite purple and move around some of the lights. So I used Color Cop to grab the texture, to grab the colour of the Premiere logo off my desktop into Blender. And I just changed all the colours to that. That worked quite well. Then I found another colour and I just made it a bit of a lighter purple. That really helped. So I was just changing around a few of the textures and messing around with the glass on the back. Since I was using so much GPU and CPU power just for experimenting with this one, the FPS is about 10. So yeah, it was kind of unplayable. I did spend quite a lot of time just perfecting this one, but I can't really show it because it's unwatchable. So this is my final render of the Premiere logo, and here it is sitting nicely on my desktop next to the Photoshop. So for the Illustrator one, I just went into the shading tab and kind of changed some colours up. So I opened the Color Cop app, which you can download from Google, and just stole the colour from the Illustrator logo I already have. Copied the hex code and brought it into the printable BSDF of the Premiere logo. The next thing I did was just change some of the emission colours up to the orange ones. So here's the orange looking Premiere logo. I haven't changed up the colours yet fully, but yeah, this is just a little preview. So there's the glass looking kind of nice. So here I am changing it to AI. I'm not sure why it's AI instead of just IL or something, but that's just what I'm going with. Again, the footage is quite laggy and really low FPS. The encoding went a bit weird once I started recording. All I did here was change up some of the spotlights to be red and orange. So now that I changed up all the colours, I just wanted to mess around with the glass a bit, because I think the Premiere logo was a bit too transparent, so I wanted to change that. So I messed around with some of the roughness settings and then came out with this. I didn't really like this, so I kept on messing around until I got my final render, which I'll show you in a minute. I really like this fiery look that was given by the transmission roughness node. So I kept on putting that up until it looked really nice. It is in a preview, so I worked on this for quite a while, and then my final render looked a bit like this. I may have changed it a bit as you're looking at it, but I think this looks quite nice, and it could do with some improvements, but yeah, so here are my 3 icons, and here are them on my desktop. Thanks for watching, and if this video gets 15 likes, then I'll do a part 2, because I still have to do all 21 on my desktop. So thanks for watching, and fix that subscriber amount, get it to 69%. See ya.